Everything I do, it's for future generation. And if you can't look at another and see that they're worth it, then we've lost it, right? Once we start looking in the mirror and we only see ourselves, we're done.
My name is Chaunté Hall.
I wear multiple hats. Currently, I am the Chief of Community Engagement for Port San Antonio. I am also the CEO, founder of Centurion Military Alliance, and also a founder of the Airman Heritage Group. I started at 17 years old at Lackland Air Force Base. And today, I won't go into how old I am, but you fast forward years, I'm very proud to say that I've taken every opportunity that I was raised with, that the military instilled in me, and then now that the civilian world has lent, and I'm the Chief of Community Engagement for Port San Antonio, which is directly across the street from Lackland Air Force Base. When I joined the Air Force at 17 years old, my father was my recruiter. He made goal that month. It's kind of always the family joke of, wow, you recruited all your kids. But I grew up in a military family, so both parents served. And growing up in a military family, I believed in service. It's the core of who we are. It was how I was raised. It was how my parents were raised. And so when I was looking at what I was going to do with my life, I knew immediately that I wanted to serve in the United States Air Force. When I joined, 2 years later, September 11th happened. And September 11th drastically changed our world, as we all know, but specifically our Air Force. And the Air Force was known as being higher education. When you join, you're automatically enrolled into associate degree program. And so I like to joke that I started my homeschooling career or educational path at the age of 11 in Japan. And I learned how to fast forward videotapes. But I share that because having that background when September 11th happened changed my college story. I had to disenroll from courses, deployment started. And so I taught myself through Liberty University. They had videotapes at the time. So I went through videotapes with Liberty University, failing horribly at math, to starting with Digital Angel, which was University of Phoenix at the time, again, failing miserably, but going down each path again that was coming out to try and not giving up. And so today I'm proud to say that I have an MPA with an emphasis in government policy. I have a doctorate in business administration, multiple certifications, and it's not to boast, it's to showcase that I am an example of lifelong learning. And I think it's so important, especially as I go out and I'm teaching a lot of these courses to our youth, paving the way for future generations. They have to understand that there are opportunities out there, but you have to be willing to take them and learn. My story of Port San Antonio is incredible. Not one day goes by that I am not so incredibly grateful for my position as Chief of Community Engagement. I get to spread awareness about what Port San Antonio is doing. So what is the port? People think, well, there's no water. They come to San Antonio and they don't understand. We have a rail port and we have an airport. Port San Antonio overall is Old Kelly Air Force Base. And my story is so near and dear to my heart because I actually ended my military career at Kelly Air Force Base. As I've traveled the globe, something that was always in my heart was I would see these old cities, these old towns, and thought, gosh, if we just rebuild them, people will come. And so Jim Perschbach, our CEO and president, is a visionary leader, is an inspirational leader, and he has done something that people thought initially he was insane for doing. Rebuilding Kelly Air Force Base, now as Port San Antonio, has provided over 18,000 jobs. We are a technology hub. We are innovative. There is so much going on our campus today. We actually have what's called the Kelly Heritage Foundation. Different homeowners and the schools and the parents and the grandparents, the community was, you're bringing us the wrong jobs, Jim. You know, we're used to warehousing, we're used to logistics, and here now we've got cyber, we've got tech, we've got IT, we've got government contracting companies, Boeing, Standard Aero, Knight Aerospace. We are doing some incredible things at the campus. And why do I share that? Because when the community understood that these were jobs that their kids could eventually have, it was life-changing. At first it was, no, those aren't the jobs for our children. And Jim said, not only am I going to inspire your children along the way, but I'm going to show you that these are the jobs for your children. And so I get to oversee and help out with what's called the Kelly Heritage Foundation, where all profits go directly to educational programming for our children. And on our campus, we have what's called the San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology, where kids come through and they learn about what's happening in space under the WEX Foundation. They're actually talking to astronauts. They're coding. They're seeing cyber cities. We've got a huge Lego city, and they're able to look at the infrastructure and tear it down and rebuild it. And these children are seeing things that they may have never had an opportunity to see, as well as Boeing just did this huge exhibit where the kids are coming in and they're flying simulators, and they've got the 3D vision, and they're seeing again the future, and they're talking to people on our campus that look like them. What Jim has created on our campus is inspiration, starting while they're young and showing them what they can be, and then providing the pathways to get there. And that's incredible. So why do I love my job? Because I like to be able to share, showcase and share just future employment opportunities. These are life-changing jobs. And the future is cyber, the future is tech, the future is AI. And if we have a fear factor behind those things, that will pigeonhole the future generation into not understanding the jobs that are out there. And so on our campus, we're educating not just the children, but their parents, their grandparents. And you can, again, see it's life-changing. So Centurion Military Alliance is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that my family and I actually started. In 2011, the state of Texas was putting a lot of money towards mental health. And at the time I was working for the YMCA. I was a director at the Y, and I'd drive to and from San Antonio to Austin for different events, and I was meeting veterans under bridges. I was seeing the homeless population rise, and I didn't understand. And it was regardless of rank. How is it that a military service member transitions out, and we go from being so bold and confident and our shoulders are back and posture and poise and leadership to slunched over, overweight? So going a little bit deeper, what does that mean? When we look to transition, there are 3 pillars that impact immediately as we leave that base gate. And those 3 pillars are educational attainment, financial literacy, and vocational proficiency. When we leave that gate, overnight, all 3 pillars are rocked. Our level of education, regardless of degree, certification, licensure, regardless of rank, overnight our level of education does not meet the requirements needed for employment, vocational proficiency. Further, what is our brand? What's our LinkedIn look like? Do we have a resume? And it's not just one resume. Can we tailor and craft that resume to every position description that we're interested in? Can we meet the years of experience required? Very basic things that the civilian population might understand, but coming from that military, we are a culture. The military is a very dominant culture. And so as we look to transition out, how do we maintain our warrior ethos? And I like to tell our service members, we raised our right hand to serve, to defend, and to protect. My job as a civilian is to maintain that. And so CMA teaches a multidisciplinary curriculum. We now, since 2011, have been able to get further upstream where we're teaching on military installations before they transition out. So I like to look at CMA as not just a tool for transition, but we're a retention tool as well, because that individual might realize, okay, my level of education does not meet what I thought I did, and I need more education, or I need more years of experience, and that won't allow me to be financially literate. Oftentimes when we talk about financial literacy, we tend to silo these conversations and act like they're different. They're not. If I'm talking to you about education, I'm talking to you about employment. If I'm talking to you about employment, I'm talking to you about financial. And so it's very important for us to realize that and not to silo these conversations. Sometimes it can frustrate people when individuals will ask, they'll come into a room of transitioning military and tell me your why. Well, what's my why not? And my father raised me with this. Why not? There can be a lot of whys. What is my why not? And so when we look to help our transitioning military, what I realize now is, if I put on my professor hat, I'm a professor at University of the Incarnate Word, is that this is applicable to college students, to high school students. So when people say, Chaunté, you wear so many hats, how do you do it all? Why not? I'm serving my community. And I look at that as I'm helping military recruitment. I'm helping recruitment for, global pathways for future employment opportunities to show a generation I'm willing to show up. I'm willing to roll up my sleeves. I'm willing to come in. It's a retention tool. You might want to stay with the organization you're with right now. You might not be, ready to branch out. And then for our military, it's successful reintegration. We think that we use the word transition, but it's called reintegration. We have to reintegrate into a culture and understand that, yes, I want to be a part of the civilian population, but I also want to maintain my warrior ethos. I also want you to remember that I'm a United States Air Force veteran, and I'm very proud of my service. The other day I'm going through the San Antonio airport, and the young lady asked the man before me, "Oh, are you a veteran? Are you in the military?" He says yes. He gets a discount. I come in, and I'm just waiting. They don't ask me, and I'm okay with it. But I always share at the end, I'm a veteran. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. You thought I was pretty. I appreciate that, right? I'm like, oh, you didn't think pretty girls could serve too. So from multiple deployments, and they were tough and they were challenging, to walking into the VA and being turned away, each challenge that I have faced has allowed me to become stronger, more resilient, more adaptable. And when individuals say, Chaunté, why you? Why not me?
Now as a civilian, a lot of the challenges that I faced in corporate America, again, can cause setback, can cause insecurity, but remember why you are doing what you're doing, and remember those why nots. And when I look at my children, my son who's 11 and my daughter who's 10, I want to make sure I'm making an impact for them.
I knew who I was. I maintained my education. So when people say, oh, Chaunté, you're an education snob. No, I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm trying to show you why it's so important. That's just everything I do. It's for future generation. And if you can't look at another and see that they're worth it, then we've lost it, right? Once we start looking in the mirror and we only see ourselves, we're done. We're lost. And we're not helping humanity. And again, and that's my why not. There's a future generation out there. They need to see us strong, resilient. And what I saw in my own children during that time of being a weekend mom, living in DC and coming back and forth, I saw strength and resilience. And my children now will tell you, Mommy has the coolest job in the world at Port San Antonio. They think that, my badge is so cool, and they get to go to the San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology and see the future and, talk to astronauts. And that's my why not, right? You're looking at them going, okay, how do we continue to pave? So to be intentional and understand that biases exist, we have to know the core of who we are. We have to know why we're doing what we're doing and keep trucking. What I know is that every single day that I'm given breath, that's my purpose. I know every single day if I'm breathing, that's my passion. And that's what I always share with people. What's your purpose? What's your passion? To breathe. And breathing. God gave me this breath, and I want to make sure that I'm leading with love, that I'm being intentional. It doesn't matter what jobs we hold. It's how we treat people at the end of the day. And it's so important to remember that each of us, regardless of our role, have an impact on somebody else.
It's not about being in the front, but it's about, again, it's how are you paving the way for those that are going to come behind you. And so I always share with individuals, take every single opportunity that comes your way. Have a mentor. Know who that mentor is. Know the advice that they're going to give you. There's only one you. And how you live every day, being intentional. We can cry about our plight in life. I've had, again, multiple deployments, been through a divorce, single mother. We can fill in the blank with challenges. We overcome them by showing up every day, by volunteering, by taking chances, taking risks. Lastly, what I always love to share specifically with women, show up, be there, be present, stop looking at Hollywood and be it. You can wake up every morning, get in a workout. You know, I love the make your bed concept because I'm like, that's the first thing every single day. I make my bed. I get in my fitness. Don't negate fitness. We've got one body. I don't take it for granted. And it's not about looking a certain way and being in a plastic society, being plastic. It's about being as real and authentic as you can to show and to raise the next generation. I am raising future warriors, and I'm very proud of that. I look at my children and go, I know what I do, they're watching, they're gonna mimic, they're gonna mirror. And so I am doing the best that I can, that I know how, to make sure I am raising them to be strong, resilient, adaptable servant leaders in our communities. My name is Chaunté Hall. On social media, LinkedIn, you will find me under the search bar as Dr. Chaunté Hall. And I share that only because that's truly not who I am. It's a title that I earned. Please feel free to follow me, send me a note, and I will make sure to get back. Centurion Military Alliance, cmawarrior.org for more information on for our transitioning military community. And then Port San Antonio, for those government entities, contractors, employers that are looking to grow and evolve in San Antonio. We always say we've got space for you, so come join the Port San Antonio team. I am Chaunté Hall, and I am a great American woman.
Thanks for watching this episode of Great American Warriors, featuring the women of America who are serving all Americans, both overseas as well as right here at home. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can know when new episodes are released. If you or someone you know is a great American warrior, message us today to be considered for an upcoming episode.